Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 10 of Conqueror Chronicles. Joining me as my co-host this time is going to be Jukester. Yoshi is once again MIA. I am, of course, Phoenix from the now defunct Scythe team. And then joining me as my guests here is going to be a return guest for both of them, actually. Benny and
Hello.
Riley from Savage Spirits. How's everyone doing tonight?
Hello. I'm doing great. How are you?
You know what? Can't can't complain too much. Cannot complain too much. Thank you for asking. Thank you for
Of
asking.
course.
So last episode was a little bit ago now. We had a little bit of a hiatus there. That was not how you
I
pronounce that word, but that's okay. That's not. Listen, we're doing it live
Alright.
here. All right, we're doing it live. But last time we were talking actually about. I think we ended actually on Savage against the team Krill Eater. Obviously, Savage did win that. Now, unfortunately, obviously, we all know Savage is now out. But before you guys got knocked out, you guys did play Zealous, which you did get a 2-0 about. And I know you guys were pretty happy about that series. Taking out the trash, I think, as Benny said. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you feel that series went for you guys? Obviously, it was a 2-0, and I think it was pretty convincing, correct?
It was 2-0, and I don't believe either game was close. Yeah, no, neither game was close.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you think it was like a bit of like a skill diff, or like do you think that you guys kind of like out tactic them, or
Um, Riley, do you have anything you want to say?
um, to be honest, I don't even remember these games. To be honest with you,
that's beautiful. That's
I,
beautiful.
I actually have to go and look at it. I actually don't remember.
It was a while ago, to be fair. It was a while ago, to be fair. So that's totally fair.
Was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, it was 3 weeks ago, so that's totally fair. We could kind of move past it, to be honest with you, if you guys don't really
No, I mean, uh,
Sure, Benny has a hot take to give about it.
I don't really have a hot take. I mean, I think anybody who tuned into those games even a little bit would say that that series was kind of just like completely one-sided. I mean, game 2, we ended the game with 60 kills at 28 minutes.
Jesus. That was like the only game I think like in the playoffs that I missed. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it
that
was it
sounds
was
that's
bad.
pretty fucking holy.
It was pretty bad. I think game two, you guys also like. I remember talking about this actually. Where like I think the draft was super weird. I think you guys had like a silencer mid or something like
Yes.
Oh,
that.
yeah, the silencer mid, the TV support.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
remember
these
seeing
guys
that
got
draft, and
cooked.
I was like, dude, there's no way Savage is gonna win. Like they've definitely cooked too hard in the kitchen on this one, like 100%. No way this is a winning draft. And you guys just proceeded to absolutely just trash him. So I was like, well, I guess that just happens sometimes. So
Um, I mean, I think this was like like a week before this game, or like a couple days before this, I had gone to Rampage on Support Terrorblade, playing against the Medusa hero. So that's why it's like they picked the Medusa, and I was like, okay, like give me the Terrorblade, like let me cook this guy. And then unfortunately, we just stomped them so hard that basically the illusion was just a creep. So I actually didn't get to have fun. It was kind of unfortunate.
just didn't get to have fun playing Pause 4
Um,
Terrorblade, eh?
Imagine winning so hard you don't have fun in a tournament.
it was truly
In a beer
tragic.
league, in a beer
Yeah.
league, no less. That's a
Oh
real
god.
tragedy. That is just a
Um,
real fucking tragedy.
Imagine
Yeah,
not having your beer in your beer league, dude.
that's
I mean,
terrible.
I do like I don't like outside of like actually when I'm actively playing with them, I do have beef with these guys because they all chatted from the first time we played with them. So
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Didn't you say something at the end of
Yes, you
this?
did. Something
Yeah.
that should not be
yeah,
repeated in a
and
family-friendly
then
podcast.
Luckily
and then
for
I'm
us, we're
pretty.
not in a family-friendly podcast, so
Oh,
that's
I'll say I hit them with the nice all chat retards,
there you go.
and then and
Game.
then at the end of the second game, I'm pretty sure I hit them with the GG easy at the end of it too.
Yes, you did.
I mean, that's just par for the course. It's
I
it's
don't know.
it's really not winning a game unless you drop the GG easy, especially if it's like a 50-minute plus game. You know what I mean? You gotta hit them with the
True.
easy no matter what, dude. Just to add that extra layer of demoralization. So
Well, like
beautiful.
just looking at this game, because like normally like in stomp, and I understand taking an analytical approach to this is kind of pointless, but it's kind of funny to me how like even in certain stomp games, like at least the first like two items are like relatively appropriately timed for like their cores or whatever. But like you look at the stat lines this game and you see the Medusa got a 24-minute manta, like
Yeah.
uh that's how you know I think that because like there are plenty of games even in like AD2L that we consider stomps that like someone fucks up going high ground and then like the game is just super hard because like that's just sort of the way the economy is right now. This was the kind of game where like we could have fucked up going high ground like three times in a row and the game still would have just been unwinnable for them.
Yeah. It was a really hard stomp. It was that second game was a really hard stomp for sure. And I remember saying too that it felt like it was a bit of a skill diff because just of how hard you guys won. And I think in particular, I think their offlane duo really struggled, which made sense because they were low ranks. I mean, especially comparatively, I think their offlane duo was like, oh my, I want to say it was like a legend and an archon or something like
I
that. And it's
believe
yeah, and
so.
you were against, and I mean also he played tied against your Slark, which was like. I
Yeah,
don't know. That's just tough, man. That's like imagine being an Archon tied against like a divine Slark. I don't know.
these
That's just really hard. That's
these players are actually both Archon 4, so I mean, there was just never a situation where they were coming out of that lane ahead.
yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Does anyone have any kind of last comments on that before we move on to the next series? All right, beautiful.
I won't be too toxic towards them.
Okay. Letting them down easy. Letting them down easy. All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. Sounds good. So moving on to the next series. Turns out Heart Run was not the problem, guys. That Heart he was not the problem. So AE did get 2-0'd by SSS.
I
And
actually
that
have
and
to
that is
find this.
with the unfair stand or well, let me okay. Some people thought the unfair replacement of Core to Heart Run. So that it did not help them enough. They did get 2-0'd. Do you guys have any thoughts on that series? I know personally I was a little surprised by that. Um,
I kind of wasn't, to be perfectly frank.
no, okay.
Having played against Triple S twice this season, I mean that's another thing where like if anyone who watched that series would know that outside of getting knocked out by Jukes, like this is the closest like we'd ever been to like getting stomped like outright. I think this season, like in a serious like in a serious game, like not that I consider our loss to Jukes like a not serious game, but well, anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Basically, like I really think that this Triple S team was just a lot better than anyone gave them credit for, especially myself because I called them shit like 5 times.
I remember this last time you were on this podcast. You said they were
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, but no, they ended up being like a serious contender in the playoffs this season, and um, I think that if Spike had like a better like skill average team around him or something, or maybe just like um more overall time like with all of these players, I honestly think that he could captain like a lot of I think he could just like win a lot of games and probably make like an upper bracket run because his ability to like figure teams out and sort of like science out their drafts and like how to target ban and stuff is actually like really scary. um I think that he's just got a good ability to like cold read and identify how you want to play the game and figure out how to counter that. And I think that really shows in their series against AE because like they were able to ban a lot of like key heroes. I think like the support Naga is a core specialty, and then they knew that they weren't going to have to worry about banning his ET out because AE had to ban it out. Like those are the two big core heroes, or three. Sorry, with the Oracle's three. So like he has a lot of freedom in the rest of this draft to like take out a lot of stuff that would like own him otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think banning the three core heroes is like the obvious thing to some people, but I mean, as we've seen this season, I think getting over focused on like one or two players in bans can be really like debilitating, but I don't know.
It can be really good, but also really bad. I think
Yeah.
sometimes, like you kind of have to know like the player, right? Like if they're a weaker player in particular, I think sometimes banning like those specialties are like pretty solid. But yeah, sometimes if they're already a really good player, banning their like specialty quote unquote heroes might not even help because they're already a really good player, right? So it's almost like if you leave those heroes in the pool, then you at least know what you're playing against in a way, which I know is like it may be counterintuitive, I guess, but yeah, I appreciate your insights on that though. Juke, do you have anything to add, or are you surprised by that 2-0 from the Skeletons, or did that make sense to you, or?
Or was that directed towards me?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Can you repeat it then for me? I heard
Yeah.
the second half of it.
Yeah,
I
no
don't know
worry.
if it was my mic or headset that cut out.
Yeah, no worry. I was just asking if you also had any thoughts on that 2-0 by the Skeletons over AE, or like was that surprising to you, or do you think that kind of made sense, or?
Um, I think that I mean I predicted the Skeletons to win. I think that there was a lot of teams this season that how do I want to word it? There was a lot of top tier teams, but everybody plays so heavy into just their one play style that when you face somebody who is able to kind of beat your play style, a lot of teams can't adjust. And I talked with Spike before, and with AAE, their like whole plan was their players were good enough to farm and get items, so they would let the game go late and just be scattered all over the place. But if you played objective gaming and went at them, they would have no idea what to do. And I mean, I can't remember the games exactly, but I kind of feel like Spike, drafted a little bit more oriented towards that, so then that way they would struggle. And I mean, even when we played them, that's kind of how it was, that we just kind of ran at them, and I mean, not anybody on their team had anything. And so there's certain teams that they have a play style, and when they can't adjust from it, if you know how to exploit it, I mean, that's when it looks like a team is a fraud.
What what do you think was the difference that like let you figure that out? Because by the time AE had made it into uh the playoffs, they had already played against and taken a lot of games off of like a lot of different teams that people might not have expected. So like besides just being better, do you think there's like a particular like experience? Because you didn't play Animal Enclosure until the playoffs, right?
We played them the week right before, like the last week of
Oh,
playoffs.
okay, okay. Well, still, like, was it just like having the second series against them that you were able to figure that out, or was there
Well,
like some
so
other?
my basically how I go about it is, and this doesn't work for everybody, obviously. Spike is a good example. He takes far more time into stuff. Benny, I believe you do. I know IPA
Yeah,
does. You guys take way more time putting into your, okay, if they do this, here's what I'm gonna do. If I'm gonna do this, here's how I can match with it. Here's how I can prepare for this. Here's how I can try to, bait them into this pick. For me, I don't care about the draft. Um, One, it just takes too much time. I've done it in the past, and the amount of time that I have to take with it, and then it does kind of put in a level of stress. And then for me, when I've been on teams, there's only ever been a few teams that I haven't been the captain of. But when I'm on a team and my captain tells me how many hours they spend in drafting, and then we lose, I feel terrible because that makes me feel like they had a perfect game plan, and I couldn't execute well enough. So I feel like it doesn't do it for everybody, but it can add this, unseen level of stress to your players. So I go in, and every team that I've played so far this season, I look at who's on the team and I'm like, oh, I've played against that guy before. Here's what I remember how he wanted to play. I'm going to assume all of them play like that, and then I'm not going to try to let them do that. And that's the last couple, I think every game in the playoffs, I haven't done any scouting or anything like that. With the exception of when we faced you guys, actually, because when you guys played the QWOP middle, you guys picked the QWOP, and I told my team, I'm like, guys, tell me how long I've got left on the timer. I have to open up Dota Buff. I don't know what the fuck Riley's playing now, because that was the first time that I had looked up something because I just didn't know.
Kind of a bit of a follow up from that question, but for Riley. So how does what Juke said? Because like obviously you know Gav and I do all the like work and stuff on the prep sheet. Does anything that Juke said like ring true to you?
I think like I'm not like I don't know. I think before because like I've done because so back when I did like the I don't you guys probably wouldn't know but Ultra Monkey Falcons
I
when I
remember that
had so when I had like my brother stack like I know like when I would do like draft prep like I would go into like the day of I would go and I would watch the first 10 minutes of laning phase and like I would like take notes of like how the support's playing and like if they like to play like in the wave, beside the wave, where they place their wards. And I would go and I would do that for like all three of the lanes and I would like kind of like study that. So like I've kind of accustomed to like trying to know as much as possible going into a game and stuff like that. But like I don't think like personally I would rather know that my coach is putting in a lot of like or my coach, my team captain, I guess, is like putting in more effort to like know what the other team's gonna do compared to just like showing up and kind of winging it. So like I think that it's also kind of just like something I've done in the past and something I've come accustomed to with Savage. But like also like I feel like when I was on Sun's team with Harb and like Stimmate and Vivian, like I don't think we really did that much draft prep either. Like kind of just like we're better, so we just picked the heroes we wanted to play and kind of just dumpstered. So I think I'm fine either way, but I prefer the more work.
Shit, Riley, I didn't know you did homework. Why the fuck haven't you offered to help?
I have, and you guys never ask.
Oh, the truth comes
Oh.
out. The
Holy,
truth comes out. Oh
getting
my
exposed.
god.
You guys sit in your private channel and Gav hangs out with
Oh
his guinea
wow, dude.
pigs.
We actually do not. We only do that for like maybe like a half hour or something before the series, and that's kind of it.
I think the funniest part of all that is just you saying that he'd rather not do the work because when the work is done and you lose, you feel worse. I think that's the best part. I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of fair though, actually, because like if you put all that fucking hours in and then you still lose, you're like, fuck, dude. God damn
I
it.
mean,
That's
I don't really see it that way.
I get
yeah,
it. Yeah.
it depends, right? Like, it's not like that for everybody. It just depends on how you build your team. And I felt that way because obviously when you lose, you feel awful 9 times out of 10. And then a lot of the captains who do spend a lot of time prepping for draft, they do make it known. Not like I don't think it's like a bragging thing because if it was, I feel like that's a weird thing to brag about. So I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
word it as that, like, oh yeah, look how much time I spend on Dota buff, like, so it's not like a bragging thing, but when you have somebody who's talking about how much, time that they put into it, it makes you feel like and again, not everybody, but it kind of like in a way makes it feel like, okay, they're putting this much time into it. I need to try my best to make sure that it's worth it for them. And then if you lose, it's just kind of maybe not the first thing you think of, but it's just an extra thing added on top of it of making the loss feel a little bit worse.
Yeah,
Oh, that's totally fair.
it's like a feels bad, like I like on
Yeah.
top. Yeah, I mean, I also can't relate to what you were saying before because I for one love losing Fucking big loser over here. Love to lose,
Must
but
be why you teamed up with Revamp then.
What the fuck?
That's getting edited out. Timestamp that. That's not staying in. For this, I just want to say I love teaming with Revamp. Holy moly. Anyway, okay, so what I will add to this is that I would say that I feel like I was someone that kind of counted skeletons out a little bit. And I think it probably was because I was putting too much emphasis on like individual players. I felt like Animal Enclosure, kind of like what Juke was saying, they were very individualistic, very much so.
Well, they kind of had to be by nature of how that stack like came to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I guess I just assumed that the individual strength of their players would be enough to kind of push them kind of past that team. Um, but to the Skeletons' credit, it didn't work out. And I think in hindsight, it kind of makes sense, right? Because you had this team of like really skilled players, but they didn't really have a clear like shot caller direction, right? To me, logically, that is countered by a team that has a true captain, a direction, someone that wants to put the time in, someone that wants to really think about things, right? Like it would kind of make sense that that type of a team would be able to beat Animal Enclosure. So I guess in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense. And that makes sense, I guess, really at the end of the day. So good on them for that round. Ultimately, they did end up losing, but we'll get to that later. But to move to the next series that did end up happening, Jukester, that was your series against the Sucking My Dick 98-1-3. You guys did lose that one. It was a narrow loss, I believe. I think it was a pretty competitive series. It was a 2-1. Um, what do you think went wrong that series, and what do you think about SMD in particular? Because I know that in many of the episodes past on the podcast, I think a lot of people tended to kind of discount that team or kind of write them out, but they did make it to grand finals, and they did do so relatively convincingly, I think, throughout. So, what are your thoughts?
It's it's hard to have a solid opinion on them because regardless of what I say is going to be cried about. Because if I say that they are a good team that's playing well, they are literally going to go and be like, no, we're not that good. But then if I say that they're bad, they're going to start throwing question marks. So I have no opinion on them because they don't want people to have opinions on them. Our series that we played against them, I mean, I think most people say like, "Oh, I think we could have won." We were, we did take them 2-1. Um, I think that we did okay for a while in the series, and then we kind of got into they like to play very objective based and rotational. So if you ever jump somebody, it's the entirety of the Avengers are dropping in on top of you. Every single one of them is there out of nowhere. Uh, and we definitely struggled against that when we would make the call like, oh, nope, we didn't kill him instantly. We have to back out. There was always somebody, maybe sometimes two people that were like, nah, just a little bit more and I can get him. And then their whole team was there. So, I mean, they play very well off of each other. And that was something that we did not show enough respect to. And I think if you watch the series back, that'll probably be one of the main points as well that would pop up. But I can't talk too much more about it because unfortunately my team really wants to win, so I can't give away anything that we're talking about.
Yeah, that's fair because obviously it will be a rematch in the grand finals. Without
Mhm.
once again, don't want to jump the queue too much, but okay, that's fair. That basically what you're saying is that SMD to me almost gives me HO vibes because that's the same thing that would happen whenever people played against HO. Would be like you'd be like, oh, let's just kill Ouch right now, and then fucking like 4 TPs would come in, fucking all of
Well,
a sudden everyone's there and you're dead.
Yeah.
I
So
think HO actually had like the perfected version of that because I remember like when we played them like a couple seasons ago. Because to be honest, what Juke said about about SMD is like something that I've noticed like a lot of conk teams did this season. Like I think Triple S was another example of that, where like you can never commit on anyone because you know that like the rainbow TP is coming out. But I feel like HO, they kind of had like the evolution of that, which is like they play in such a way that they never needed a rainbow TP because they like drafted themselves heroes and um like like played on the map in such a way that they didn't necessarily like need to like sacrifice their like their TP flexibility and stuff like that, like to defend from plays. And then as a result, like they were able to like TP out or like run back to the jungle or whatever and like get all the farm that they needed on, well, specifically I guess ouch, but still like black up because that dude is always like mega farmed. And I think that's why HO is like kind of the they were so good they had to disband just so that someone else could win conk.
That's it. That's it. That's actually the only reason that we're even doing this. I mean, yeah, if they were still in, I'm sure they'd be in the grand finals, of course. But
I don't even think that's a meme. Like, like I don't really know anyone who can beat Prime HO.
they're truly the boogeyman of our time. They're truly the boogeyman
Truly.
of our time. But for you and Riley though, do you guys have any thoughts on SMD? I mean, obviously they did make it to the grand finals. Do you have any kind of overarching opinion on them besides what we were talking about?
So unfortunately, they were actually, I think the only team. Not maybe not the only team. We didn't play. I guess we didn't play some of the other like bottom tier
For
teams.
top seed though, for top seed or like top
Yeah,
half,
no, I
right?
know.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm just trying to think. Let me look at the lineup. We played MHK, we played DUI, we didn't play Jackson 5, we didn't play Pool Pals. I think we played everyone else here. Yeah. So SMD was just one of those teams that we never really got to like play. And to be honest, I'm a little happy about that. I mean, obviously, like I wanted to win the season and I wanted to go to grand finals and everything, but the problem with like Wild Daddy, at least in the few seasons that I've played like in close proximity to him, I don't actually know if we've ever played in an official lobby, but anyway, obviously he's a very unpredictable player. He frequently likes to pick weird heroes in weird positions, build weird items, etc., etc. And that's like a nightmare for people like me who need to like, you know,
Consistency.
yeah, like I need to find the patterns and stuff when I'm like playing against when I'm like doing my scouting against these players. I will say it does seem like Wild Daddy has had the best success this season when he, in his own words, um, has the leash on. It seems like his team has done a pretty good job of like making sure he's actually playing Dota and like building real items. Um, and it seems like his natural talent at the game has been able to like shine through for once as a result. Like I caught I think a little bit of the game where he played Spectre against Juke's team, um, and I remember, was it this one? I think so. Yeah, I remember like catching a bit of this game and thinking that like, wow, this is like the first time I've seen a game where Wild Daddy was playing and he like looks like he's actually like playing the game and being like really impressed at some of the plays that he was making and like the map movements. So I wonder if that was the key to their success.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. Yeah, I would say that his gameplay from Safe Lane, whereas where I tend to see him the most, has definitely been really good for them. I do still think that their offlane duo tends to be really strong too. That Jazar goddamn combo is like really powerful. It seems.
I think Jazar was like a hot contention for like best offlane or something like a couple seasons ago in Conk.
Oh, really? Okay. So
I'd
yeah, so
oh, it was,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
wholly unsurprising.
It was I think it was this Dynamite team, which was season 39. They ended up losing in, I want to say, grand finals to go play offlane. Was the team at the time, but Dynamite was Jazar, U, and
Oh, I think
Blaka as
I
like their tricore. Yeah, you stood in
think
for
I
them
stood in for
for a
this game.
series or
Yeah.
something. But I remember the tricore of Jazaru and Blaka was being talked about as like the highest value tricore like in the division at the time or something like that. And they were like a really scary team, I remember. I don't think we ever got to play them, unfortunately, but I do remember those three players specifically got like a lot of attention.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Then Riley, do you have anything to add about SMD, or is it mostly all been said?
Pretty well all been said. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know any of the players apart from like kind of knowing of Wild Daddy. I'm not too sure what's going on with all of that with them and what they've been cooking up.
They've been cooking up some interesting stuff for sure. But yeah, okay, no worries. So let's move on to the next series here, because this is obviously going to be the heartbreaker, or actually not quite yet, not quite yet actually. The next series obviously is when the Spirits played the Skeletons. Now
Yeah.
I will say just off the hop, I rewatched that series. You guys should have lost that series. I'm just
Oh
gonna say
yeah,
that
without a doubt.
you
Yeah,
guys
yeah, yeah.
100% should have lost that series. That was like in Spike's hand. He had that series, and that was like probably one of the biggest throws I think I've ever witnessed in my existence.
Yeah, it was like a 25K punt or something.
25K loss. So from your guys' perspective, obviously from that side, I would also say congratulations, because to, to be able to win from that much of a deficit is incredible, because it takes a lot of mental fortitude to even be able to do that. Like there's so many stacks that I know even that would have given up by like a 20K deficit, or like a 15K, and just like mentally checked out, been like, yeah, you know what, this season's done, fuck this season, fuck you guys. So even the fact that you guys were able to even withstand that and then turn that around, very impressive. But how was that from your guys' point of view? I'm very interested in this.
I mentioned in the postmortem that I give like every ounce of credit possible to Frost and Riley for this series, because game one was like sort of just a wash to an extent. Obviously we lost the game. We kind of got outdrafted a little bit. But really I think we just got stomped by like their overall just like execution of their game plan. And then like that was a loss that we could like walk away from no problem. But then like game two, my heart was in my ass when they picked the Knicks. I was like so like, oh fuck, that was like the one hero that we like didn't ban. And the stupid thing too is like I literally like during scouting I found the game where Amaze played Knicks against
Oh,
I
it
don't
was
remember.
against
I don't remember what team.
it was playoffs, I think, wasn't it? It was
I think
against
it was. I
I'm
think it was
pretty sure it
against
was against
Animal
IPA.
Enclosure. Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. It
think
was
it was
totally
against
against
them.
IPA. It was totally
Yeah.
against IPA team.
I remember
And I
being
remember
shocked by that.
seeing.
Yeah.
I saw that game because I think he dropped a 20-0 or something like that, and I remember seeing that and being like, I need to like make sure that I take note of this, especially because like we were still like relying really heavily on this Dawn pick, um, and so like when I saw the pick, I was like, oh fuck, like I fucked up so bad, like not remembering to call to ban that hero, and then like obviously anyone who watched that game could see I was fucking crashing out so hard. I was like It was like 15 minutes in, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I switched my Spotify over to my Crab Rave only pod list playlist. I was fucking like, I was walking around the jungle with like 2k HP from Strength Morph. I was like playing so scared. I was jumping every time I saw something on my screen that like wasn't supposed to be there. I was like, this game is like so fucking hard. And then like there were just a couple of plays where the dynamic duo Frost and Riley, like when the game is hard and those guys are making calls, like again, I talked about this in the postmortem, but like I've surrounded myself with people who are, I know, gonna like show up when I need them to most, and this is exactly the kind of game that we have in like all kinds of pubs. We've had in like previous series where like the game is hard, but I hear Frost and Riley are starting to like get excited, and that's how like I start to kind of know it's gonna be okay. And then at one point, Frost built a heart, and I think that item is like really fucking bad right now. I haven't like seen anyone like seriously build a heart outside of Centaur for like, I don't know, probably like 200-300 games or something like that. Um, and like I remember seeing him buying the heart, and I was filled with this like sense of relief, and I was like, yeah, I think we're just gonna win this game now. Like it's something I can't quite put into words. The just like that sense of like trust, you know. I don't know.
You were like, you know what? This heart gives me heart to think. So we
Exactly.
could. You like that? That was pretty
but
good.
but
I'll be here all week.
this series has more than anything cemented my complete and utter regret for the fact that I don't record our comms, because the absolute fucking shouting that Riley was doing when he like made the kick play on the gyro dieback that like secured the game for us. I don't think I've ever heard him screaming that loud, dude. Holy shit.
And speaking of which, Riley, from your
Oh my
point of
God.
view, how did this series go, buddy? Because it sounds like Benny was is really giving you some props here for the shot calling in particular.
I think it was super fun. I love playing hard games, especially like these crazy comebacks. It's like one of the few things that playing just like normal Dota games that were like going late and like the fights are kind of hard. My first time playing like in these leagues, you're like heart gets going a bit and you're like, that was like a super fun game. But like I just like have like over 10,000 Dota games and like played probably like 15 seasons of RD2L and AD2L between the both of them. It's like nothing gets the heart really pumping as much, except for these like crazy games where it's these like split second decisions, like when who's their carry player?
Russ.
Yeah, like he like makes the play where like he's like trying to fight he like fights Frost and like uses his satanic to like really like secure it, and then like I'm just like constantly just like looking to make these like plays on when I'm playing my Tusk. I'm just like trying to find these like quick moments where I can just like turn the tide of the game. And of course I'm like yelling at Frost like, you need to fucking listen to me. Like the moment I tell you to buy back, like you buy back. And he steps across the river on the gyrocopter and just like immediately just like I yell at him, buys back, jump, punch him, and it's just game over. He's just locked in there. He's just trapped, can't get out. So I just look for the game-winning play and went for it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you know what? It's I would agree with you. Truly, nothing gets the blood flowing like a 25k deficit game. You know, there's just something
Yeah,
Oh
about that
yeah.
just makes me feel
yeah,
so alive. You know, like I just
yeah.
it's
Make
just
makes you really like think about like, man, like this is why I fucking play Dota, dude.
oh,
Like
100%.
this is the reason why I love this game.
Hundred
Um,
percent. Yeah, yeah. I will say, like, I think that Tusk gameplay and also your Magnus gameplay. I remember watching those games and I'm like, yeah, this is why people glaze this guy. Like this is why people love Riley on Savage Spirits because
um,
those games were like just games that were like, I don't know if another Pause 4 could have won that game for them. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like
mm,
that was like a special breed of gameplay from you. So I'll definitely give you
yeah,
props for that.
it was a very cool moment. I loved it. It was a great time. I
Yeah.
just love clipping people, man. That's why I play Rubik so much. Just love clipping people. I'm
Rubik,
fucking addicted to that.
Rubik and Magnus. That's just it. That's just it. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
man.
to move past that, Juke, did you have anything to add to this? Because obviously this is a very interesting matchup, I think, in general, because I think that a lot of people actually compared your two teams in a way, because you guys kind of both had those like leaders that like really like try to gameplay the game, like lots of draft prep. I think you guys were very similar teams in a way. Um, so for me personally, I thought that this matchup was going to be a toss up. Um, so Juke, were you surprised by kind of the outcome, or was this also an outcome that you kind of predicted?
This are we still talking about
Savage against
this,
Skeletons.
okay, skeleton, yeah. I mean, I kind of was. I had been I mean, I've been saying it all season that I've been a big fan of Spike, and that he's one of the players that I talked to, or one of the captains, I should say, that I've talked to more this season. So kind of understanding how the team played, and what they're kind of how they played off of each other, and that it made me feel like they were a much better team. I think during the regular season, a lot of people just doubted them just because when you look at a player like their mid laner and you see he doesn't build BKB, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy's garbage. Okay, that's all I need to know about this team. And then they're winning games, and you're not really putting respect on it. And then they're in the tiebreakers, and people are still like, oh, they're not gonna get in, and they get through, and people are still like, oh, okay, well, yeah, this is they just barely got in. It's because of the stand-ins, and then they go through the lower bracket, and people are like, "Oh, it was just flukes." And then when they face Savage, that's when people were finally like, "Oh, okay, these guys are kind of good, I guess." Like so, everybody was like on the opposite side of it. It seems like the whole time. Um, as for me, I definitely was surprised. Not that I thought Savage couldn't win. Um, I just I mean, again, the 25K net worth lead, like, I don't
Yeah.
think you can watch a game like that and be like, oh, I wasn't surprised.
Oh yeah, 100%. I guess I just more so was wondering your thoughts, like going in, like did you favor Savage then, or were you favoring the Skeletons? Because I
I
know that
was,
I was like surprised that it seemed like almost like what you said actually, that the community sentiment seemed to switch actually by a long shot there, where like they were really underrated for their entire run, and then by the time they faced Savage, it was like the vast majority of people seemed to think that the Skeletons were gonna win actually.
yeah, I mean, I still was going with skeletons. I don't know if it was on the podcast here that I had talked to. I don't think it was because there was a gap between, but I was talking with somebody that I said, I'm pretty sure it was going to go to a game 3, and Savage would win, but yeah, no, not Savage. Sorry, skeletons. There's so many goddamn S's, dude. It's
I know there's
messes with
so
my
many
brain.
S's, dude.
Um, but yeah, so I was predicting skeletons to win, but I figured that the games would be pretty close.
Yeah, totally fair, totally fair. It was definitely a very exciting series. That was probably for me that was probably the series of the season so far. It was definitely a very fun series to watch. But moving past that one, this is the heartbreaker here, obviously for Savage Spirits. You guys did make top three though, which is definitely pretty impressive. But you guys did have to go against Duke's Angels, obviously widely probably considered to be one of the best teams, if not the best team of the season. You guys did get O2'd, and unfortunately, from what you guys were saying as well, did seem to be a bit of a one-sided affair, unfortunately, which is never good because obviously no one wants to go out feeling like that wasn't their best work, right? Like, I mean, if you're gonna go out, you want to at least feel like, you know what, we really tried our best, you know. But it seemed like it was a bit of a tough series. So from your guys' perspective on Savage, what do you think went wrong with that season, that series in particular?
You want to take it
Roddy,
away, Vanny?
you can start it out.
So what? Uh, I think going into the series, you'll probably look at like all of our Dota buffs, and none of us been having like good weeks. And for like anyone and like knows anything about Savage, I feel like very much so like a mental team. so to say, for like Benny and stuff like that. Um, we kind of need to be like in like a good place. I think we've like struggled a lot in like pubs, and we're just, like we're not having success, and we're like a lot of like head scratching of like, oh, like what are we doing wrong, this and that. And I think going into like it's like a like any of you guys have played like sports. It's like you like good practice means like you're gonna like play well in the game. And like for us, like our pubbing and our time like that is like our practice time, so to speak. So we don't like scrim or anything like that. So I think we just had like a really shit week of pubs, and I think that just like translated into our game too much, and we just did not play like well at all. I don't think Juke's Angels are bad, but like I definitely think if we were feeling better like going into the week, I think we could have had it be more of a competitive series than it just being like kind of us just getting like shit on out here looking like fucking OTF, dude. It was rough.
Jesus Christ.
You guys did not look that bad.
Oh my god! Oh, they're already
Oh.
dead, guys. They're already
God
dead.
diggity.
Like, okay, wait, but before we go to Betty, in your honest opinion, then, if you were peak powers, like let's say you guys had a killer streak, right? Killer streak leading into it.
Yeah.
You guys feeling amazing. Do you think you can actually beat Juke's Angels at full ability?
I mean, I think literally like anything is like technically possible at like the end of the day. Like I think like
No, this is a politician answer. Do you think if you guys were the best that you could be, if you ran that series 10 times over, do you think you win the majority?
I mean, if you don't want the politician answer, like, of course I'm gonna think that our team would have won. I think we fucking two of these idiots every fucking time.
All
But,
right, there we
but
go. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for.
Well,
Okay.
2-1. Come on.
oh, yeah,
I
like
think
jokes
I think
aside,
I
like
think in
yeah.
the 10 series simulation, I think we're like 6 out of 10 against this team, maybe 7.
Benny
Okay.
just doesn't have
Okay.
confidences. I think we fucking two of them every time.
All
I think
right.
Well,
it's
I think that
we start at 9, we play, we get one more Q in before the lap turns into a pumpkin, and then we call it a night.
I think
I
well
love you,
my
Juke.
answer I think I think my answer I think is based more on like I think um it's kind of interesting to me because I draw a lot of parallels between the game 1 of this series and the game 2 of our Triple S series, and I think the fact that we like twice in a row made like a super critical draft error that like completely lost us, or well, in the case of Skeletons we won the game, but it was a game that we should have lost, so really it lost us the game. But 2 weeks in a row we made like a really critical draft mistake that was basically game losing, and like Jukes basically just showed that they were a team that could capitalize on it better. Not only because they lost the game, but also that like completely, I think, threw off our like rhythm for game 2. Um, and so like I think that a lot of what goes into that 6 out of 10 metric is like the just like fuck up factor. Like obviously Dota is a game of mistakes, and whoever makes fewer mistakes tends to win. Um, and obviously we're all playing in a divine something average league. We're not actually like good or perfect Dota players or anything, but like this is the kind of team that you just really can't make mistakes against. And our strength, Savage's strength, that is that even when we do make mistakes against teams, that we usually are really good at like coalescing and like coming back from the mistakes and like winning the series or like winning the game or whatever. But we just could not like do that this time. I think this brood pick game 1 obviously like completely fucking destroyed us. Milkboxy went 11-0. We had like no stuns for him. We just had like no real way of like slowing down the pressure on the map. I was like AFK the entire game, and I was farming like really slow, even with like a like a perfectly like acceptable lane performance. I still got like a 16-minute Fury, which is like obviously really slow. I was feeling like just so much pressure from like the start of this game. Um, I don't really know why. Maybe it was just the brood pick. Maybe I was just feeling off. I don't know. But that was just like a really hard game, and then like trying to reset going into game two. I think like I was kind of anticipating the Alec pick, and I kind of wanted it out instead of the bristleback, but we kind of ended up like talking ourselves into banning the bristleback instead, even though I thought we had better solutions for it. Like you obviously we just can't make like mistakes like that twice in a row. Um,
Yeah.
and then just on top of that, like we were just lacking our mojo, and yeah, it's just when you fuck up like all of those little things, it really snowballs hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's something actually that you mentioned too that I remember mentioning this on this podcast many episodes ago is that I think that Milkboxy's hero pool is challenging for some teams because he plays a lot of these like cheese picks that you kind of have to have a solution to. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to ban it directly, but like if you leave yourself susceptible to a Meepo or a Brood, if that is picked, you are fucked. Like it's very challenging to kind of overcome those in a really good game for it, right? It kind of makes me think of the time that we were playing against MHK actually, and T-Wub's got a last pick Brood, and it was like we were just like we were fucked. Like as soon as we saw the Brood, we were like, all right, like we lost. Like there's no solution for it. We had no stun. I was playing Viper. I like what I can't do anything against a Brood. Like Brood actually counters me, right? So
Well, the
it's like,
sad thing too is that I think the draft that we had like planned originally for this team, I think could have done like a lot better, especially into the Brood, because I mentioned this in my write up, but I was actually practicing carry shaker in pubs leading into the series, which is an
it's the
insane
flavor of the
fucking
month. Yeah.
sentence. Absolutely, absolutely insane sentence. I never thought I'd be saying that shit in my life, but um, I actually felt like pretty good on it. It's kind of weird. It's like because to me it feels like the natural evolution of the trend of the pos one in the past like couple patches, because like it feels like for the most part the carry role is getting a lot less carry focused, and it's getting a lot more like rotate at 15 minutes so that you can fight so that your off lane and your mid can go back to farming, and like if you die it's kind of whatever, which is why I think like Spectre is really good, because Spectre can make those rotations and then not die and then go back to farming, and requires like slightly less net worth than other heroes. But anyway, so like Shaker, which is a hero that can get like the like 13 14 minute ags, and then you not only have your mobility item, but then that's also like a big like damage buff too, and like you're not as good at AFK farming, so like you kind of want to be rotating anyway, and then like you have the Echo for like a theoretically like guaranteed win in a team fight. And then also obviously like Shaker's just really fucking good against Brood. So like the 18 pick
Yeah.
Shaker like turns off the Brood pick. It leaves us. I also really like the Earth Shaker with like the carry style mid, like snipers or silencers or whatever, because like obviously a position one Shaker is super punishable, so you want to punish it, and then that's when the sniper just like murders your whole team or whatever. But then like because of the way that we constructed the draft and the fact that they got the Mars pick meant that we couldn't realistically put the sniper into a core role, which meant that we had to put it on support, which was like still accounted for, but then we were like starting to worry about the bristleback, and we didn't have like a great solution for the bristleback. So we put me on the PA so that we could have the built-in break, but then we were lacking a lot of control because you need like some really consistent control for Broodmother, and there just wasn't really a mid pick that could like do every single one of those things and then like still win the game. Um, so yeah, it was just really rough.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Totally fair. Totally fair. And just to move on, we've heard a lot from the losers.
What
Damn,
the
bro, what the
fuck?
So
fuck?
Juke, if you want to take it away from the winner's perspective, how did the series go? And I mean, like they're saying, I do think that they had a couple really clutch, or you guys had a couple really clutch picks that were really helpful during the draft. But what's your kind of point of view from this series?
Um, I don't know. I don't ever want to like. It's tough to answer it because any way you word it, I never try to. There are certain teams where if I beat them, I very much so would like to trash talk, but Savage is not one of them. So like any way that I try to like word things like might come off as like toxic or
You can be
anything.
toxic if you want to.
I literally don't care.
You have the pass, my brother.
You've got
Um,
the pass, dude.
but like the one thing I feel like, a lot of people have been harping on our team because we have been a part of the argument of the quote unquote beer league or fun league or whatever. And not everybody on my team looks at it that way, but I feel like one advantage that we have had, and I do think it's one of the top two factors that have gotten us into the playoffs and into the grand finals now. The first one being I've surrounded myself with really good players, and the other one being that I don't care. Like I go in and if I lose, I'm not gonna be upset. If I win, okay, I guess I play another week. But again, it's that whole thing where just like a lot of people will say like, oh, I don't have stress about it, it doesn't bother me in that. But then when you're playing the game, and like Benny has kind of mentioned in that stuff, when you're in one of those games and you see that it's not going your way, and especially as if you're the captain or the shot caller and you have to try to bring the team together, it does get stressful, it does get hard, and I've had that happen to me this season a few times as well. So I just do my best to go into a game and just like I said, essentially just like not care because I know that none of my teammates are going to be upset with me if we lose. I know that if we win, they're going to nobody on the team is going to be like, "Oh yeah, it was me that carried," or they're not going to go around DMing people like, "Oh, this person's way too heavy, blah blah blah." Like they point fingers at each other if we win, and if we lose, everybody takes responsibility. So, it's just this really really good aspect of going in where everybody trusts each other and everybody's playing really relaxed and we're joking the whole time. I mean, if one of us is dying out of position, there's a chance one of us is, tipping that person. Even in the middle of team fights. Like, I've had multiple of them. Rhino was casting a game when we were going against Krill Eater, and the Luna had a divine, and my offlaner walked up and died. And as they're taking our base and trying to end the game, I'm on Marcy ulting, and I'm still pinging my off or tipping my offlaner in the middle of the fight because it was hilarious. So like we just kind of go in and just try to minimize any frustrations or anything that we have with it, and it really does help us quite a bit.
So basically, good vibes has gotten you to the grand finals. Is what
Yes,
you're is what you're saying here.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Well, just to kind of end us off here, because I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time. It's been going on almost an hour now. Let's do a little bit of a preview of the grand finals here, because obviously this is the grand finals. I think next week or this week, right? Coming up on Thursday.
That's the plan. We
Okay.
have to. Everybody's still trying to figure out, and I don't even think that I'm gonna be able to talk with the other team until like Tuesday to figure out what day and time works.
Okay. And just for my own, I fuck the podcast. I just want to know myself. Are you guys thinking best of three or best of five?
I would prefer it be a best of five, but it's very, very hard to do that when everybody on my team works in the morning, and we work kind of long hours. Like I wake up at like 6 in the morning and I don't get home until like 5.
Well,
And
fuck, it's
then
late. Why are you doing this with me? It's fucking late.
um and then this weekend as well, I'm gonna be out of town, so that factors into it. So
Uh,
if we can find it to work, I want it to be a best of 5, but it might just have to be a best of 3. I'm not too sure yet.
okay. Okay.
Unfortunate.
Watch the space then. Okay. I obviously favor best of five, but I can
Mhm.
understand if it doesn't work out, then
Yeah.
totally fair. But um, anyway, this I think this matchup is what was widely expected. I think. And it's also funny because I think SMD and Jukes were the two highest seeded going into playoffs. So once again, I think this is like kind of the expected outcome, even from the seeding.
The
What
math
do you?
is mathing.
Yeah, exactly. The math is mathing. So, what do you guys think about this matchup in particular? Who do you guys think is gonna win? Benny,
Please
let's
God,
let's
let
let's
it
start
be
with you.
Juke. Please God, let it be Juke. Please God, let it be Juke.
Okay, so you you want it to be Juke, but do you think that Juke is going to win?
Um,
Realistically speaking.
I
They are
mean,
4-1 against us.
they're 4-1 against Jukes, which is not a good sign. I think. I mean, oh, good fucking lord, dude. This game 2 draft. No wonder you fucking lost.
Jesus
God
Christ.
damn.
He's still on the
Tell us how you
podcast, Benny.
tell us how you really
He's
feel.
right
Just
there, dude.
Who picks Carey Prophet in fucking December 2024?
Benny,
Juke
we
still.
lost to him,
Goodness.
okay?
Yeah,
You're not allowed
Yeah,
to, you're not allowed to
you guys
criticize
got
us.
2-0'd,
yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Look
yeah,
at
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I see. I mean, it's a little awkward saying this with Juke in the podcast, but I feel like if I don't see any more drafts like this against SMD, like Juke takes it because like I see this game 1 draft and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're cooking, and then I see this game 2 draft and I'm like, what the fuck?
Fucking
So
meth.
I mean,
I mean, just as an aside, like this is the team that picked up like a PA Pulse 5, so I don't think he's gonna
yes,
be
but that
upset by
was
any
like
draft comments, you know. So
to be somewhat fair. If I recall, that was like
meaningless game.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it a meme or a troll or
I mean, it was
whatever.
match fixing, so.
Well, but
The
like
truth comes out.
but like I mean, as long as that stuff isn't happening, which I feel like Juke knows better.
I do, but then the issue that we have what happens is, and this is why I have my comms muted. If I do stream the game, because we are actual idiots. What ends up happening is we get in and we win game 1, and then it's quite literally, well, we know we're better than them now. Let's just try to pick something else, and then somebody will be like, "Yeah, I want to play Carry Skywrath Mage." I'm like, "Well, I mean, we're better than them, so let's go."
So it's all Killiu's fault. It comes out here, boys. That's the reason they had a harder path, dude. God damn it.
Well, my goddamn offlaner wants silencer every game, so
Oh, that's gonna be a tough. I recommend not doing that in the
I
finals.
know. We did it once and it didn't work.
And the fucked up thing is like you guys kind of almost won this game a little bit.
They they,
The
they
PA
almost did.
game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they almost did.
Okay, so we talked about it afterwards. If I knew that they were going to play like how they were, I build carry on PA instead of doing my ranked PA build. I
Yeah.
play like a
I'm
normal carry,
sorry.
and I think I
I'm
win.
sorry. What? Your ranked PA build is phylactery Dessa
Don't
Yeah.
knock it, bro. Don't listen. Listen.
Yeah.
Juke
Let
did
them
it with
cook.
me.
What
Juke
the
did it with
fuck?
me. It cooked, bro.
Yeah,
It
Phoenix is
cooked.
out here getting free MMR. Don't talk to me.
It
What
cooked, dude.
the fuck?
Don't knock it till you fucking try it, dog. That's all I'm gonna say, bro. Don't knock it till you try it. But wait. Just to dial it back for just 1 second. So you're expecting a Juke victory, correct, Penny?
I think I think I'm hoping for a Juke victory, and my understanding is that SMD is kind of the static one this series. Like I don't think they're gonna like change or like try to adapt or like react to what Jukes is doing. So I feel like it's Juke's series to lose, not SMD's series to win, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Okay. All right. And then Riley, for you, who do you think is gonna win this grand finals here?
I hope Juke loses because he knocked out my team, so
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. And
Double
then
fun
Juke,
from the streamer.
obviously, I'm expecting you, obviously, Juke, to say that you're expecting your own team to win. But just humor me here. Obviously, do you think you guys are gonna win this series?
I think if we play like how it depends on what version of us shows up. I'm gonna do my best to show up like I did on Thursday, but I very well might show up like the Thursday before. So yeah, we'll just see. Whatever. If you see us in the draft picking some maybe kind of weird stuff, and you're not sure what's going on, we're probably gonna get 03'd.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Just for the record here, I've been pretty ride or die with Jukes Angels. I think they're the best team of the season. I want them to win. I think they should win. I think if they play to their ability, I think they got this. That's nothing against SMD because they also 2-0'd us. They're a very good team. They're very competent. I have no. I would not be surprised either way who wins. To be honest with you, I could definitely see SMD winning. I could definitely see Jukes winning. So it's really it's kind of a toss up. I think the Jukes team has the better players, so I would expect them to win because the ultimate reality to me is that in lower MMR, I tend to favor teams that have better individual players because I find that that is an easier fallback than having like a really good like team play or like a really good like I don't know like leader and stuff like that. I find that in lower MMR, having players that are really good at clicking buttons tends to do better. So I would expect them to win, but we will definitely see. We'll definitely see. So like I said, it's been over an hour now. So I mean, if you guys have any kind of closing questions or closing remarks, this is kind of the time to do it. Otherwise, I'll let you guys get on with the rest of your night.
Juke, how does it feel putting me in retirement?
It's kind of nice. You can
All
go to bed
right,
early
folks.
if you'd like.
That's gonna be the fucking introduction of the video. It's just Juke saying it's kind of nice putting fucking Benny away. Actually, really quick. Sorry, fuck. I just baited you. Really quick, actually. What's the future of Savage looking like, or is that something that can't be kind of spoken on? Because I know Benny,
Um,
obviously, you're retiring. You're like, and I mean, this is gonna
well,
be like an AD2L retirement, so this is probably gonna only last like one season. But
well, we'll see because um, I had said going into the season that it was going to be my last season, but then I also said going into the season that we were going to 2-0 every week and then win playoffs. And it's it's kind of hard to reconcile those two things when you don't do one of them.
And he's a lying piece of shit.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna call it like a 99.5% retirement for now, because like there's always a possibility that I talk myself back into playing like next season. But like after that, I'm definitely not playing the next two seasons. And then like I I would like to say that after that I would come back in like what, like 2026, but like I don't know what I don't know what AD2L is going to look like. I don't know what Dota is going to look like. I mean, I'm not one of those people that says the game's dying or whatever, but like it's really hard also just to like keep up, and I don't know how much I'm going to want to keep playing if I'm not playing in AD2L, and if I'm not playing as much it's going to be really hard to keep up, and I don't want to come back to AD2L if I'm like playing in fucking Challenger or Warrior because I just don't consider that shit worth my time. And I don't know. We'll definitely see. But for now, I'm considering myself retired. I'm gonna play some in the off season, whatever. I'm hoping I can hit Immortal, but then if that happens, then we're looking at like champ, and then that just complicates things even further. Because I don't know. There's too much shit to consider to like make any definitive statements right this second. But I'm leaning towards keeping to my word and not playing, but I don't know.
all right, so that was a big, long, fancy way of saying you can expect to see Benny back next season. Great. Okay. Right. So Riley, do you have any plans for next season, or are you gonna stick with the rest of the Savage crew, or you gonna take a season
Um,
off, or?
I've been held captive by Savage too long, so maybe I'll spread my
Oh God!
wings,
Don't
go and play on
fucking
a team that will
don't
actually
fucking
give me a
propagate that
chip.
narrative. Don't fucking propagate that narrative, dude. I am.
All right.
There are a lot of things that I'm fucking tired of hearing. You know what? I'm not getting into an anti-conk chat rant at the twilight hour of this podcast.
All I know is I want to chip with Harb, and I want to chip with Benny. Harb is the best carry in AD2L. Harb, come back and give me another chip, please, because I need the validation. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Perfect, perfect. All right, well, I think that's a good place to end it there. Betty's going to be back for the next 3 seasons in a row. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining. Hope everyone enjoyed, and have a good rest of your night.